Is March 9th, 2022, and it is time for episode 2 of the Daily at Lincoln. All right, today we're going to be talking about the Apple events that occurred earlier today, and we'll be talking more about what that means and how that's all going to work. Coming up next here on Creative Morgan's Live, or Daily at Lincoln. All right, we'll get started on March 9th, 2022. All right, welcome to one of the segments here on the Daily at Lincoln. Today, it's all about Apple, which is not my favorite topic. If you've listened to the Counting Computers podcasts of past, you'll know that I do not share our co-host's delight and love. We have about 9.5 minutes to regale you with all that was announced today at the Apple event. They do these things where they do a big old broadcast and show us all the shiny things they've got. And Thomas has kind of a rundown of the good, the bad. I'm not sure he would call anything that Apple does ugly, but we'll see what we have from his perspective. Thomas, go ahead and walk us through a little bit of what was announced today, or what wasn't announced today.
Today, this morning actually, around, I want to say 11, Apple had an event where they, yearly they have this event where they release stuff. They also have one in the fall. Usually the one in the springtime, like now, they don't really release like really big stuff, but today they did release some pretty good stuff. They didn't release a new iPhone, but they actually that's a lie. They did release the new iPhone SE.
I was hearing that they're talking like that's more about for carriers than for actual customers. Is that correct? Or there's something about it like that it's not the next iPhone. It's just like, hey, here's an option for customers if you've never had an iPhone.
So, well, kind of. So it's for people that don't like the swipe up gestures like on the iPhone X and my iPhone. It's for people that want a physical home button because that is still a huge market. They released a new iPhone 13 with a new color. Okay. No updates on there. They released a iPad Air. It now has the M1 chip.
So we've talked a lot about this. We've talked a little bit about this on the Counting Computer part. What is the like you talked about this earlier today. They didn't announce an M2 chip today.
No.
So the M1 is part one of that. What's the other pieces of the chips they've announced?
So they also released the M1 Ultra, and I was expecting an M2.
Why do you think they went with M1 Ultra versus the M2?
I don't know.
Was it
honestly
just not ready, or
because
they had talked about it, like it had been a conversation, like, hey, yeah, we got an M2 coming.
I think they're going to release it later this year.
Oh, okay,
maybe.
So the M1 Ultra was kind of a Band-Aid to say, hey, because you even mentioned earlier today you could put two M1 Ultras together,
or two M1 Maxes.
Two M1 Maxes. There we go. Oh my gosh, so many levels. Two M1 Maxes together and get approaching what the M2 kind of.
Ooh, I'll grab those statistics right now.
Hold on. There you go.
It's a display. Hold on. This is the Mac Studio. Oh yeah, it's called the Mac Studio. They also released that. Nice. So it's like the Mac Mini, but it's like 4 or 5 Mac Minis tall. Okay. So the base Mac Studio comes with a 20-core CPU with 48 GPU cores and 32 neural engine cores with 64 gigabytes of unified memory, 1 terabyte of SSD storage. But if you get the upgrade, it comes with the M1 Ultra, which is I guess they're both M1 Ultras, but the second one, it's even more powerful. So it's still got the same 20 core CPU, but it's got 64 cores for the GPU and 32 neural engine cores.
This just sounds like they are like really trying to flood the market with high-end processors on the Apple side, like really get you to buy an Apple computer.
I'm excited to see someone get their hands on this. I want to see how it performs because they were talking about like 2.5 terabytes a second from CPU or from chip to chip.
Yeah.
Communication.
That's crazy.
They also released a display.
Ooh.
So you remember the Pro Display?
Ish, yes.
Everyone was like, "Oh, $1,000 Pro stand." Whatever.
Yeah.
So they didn't release a stand this year.
Okay, so was that so there was a Linus video, or someone did a video about their monitor and how it didn't have a stand.
Right.
And they were
Oh, yeah, it doesn't come with a stand.
It doesn't come with a stand, and so you got to mount it on the wall.
Yep.
And like people were just like, this is the dumbest. I mean, there's a lot of, pardon me, forgive me because I don't like Apple very much. There's been a lot of dumb things Apple has done in their history. They're like any computer company, but to release a monitor without a stand, like, and here's what Apple does. This is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. What they do is they put out stuff, and then all these ancillary companies like will have additional parts and pieces that adapt and they're able to, we'll sell you a monitor, a stand for your monitor, for $45. It's not Apple approved, but it
works.
It works, and it does the job. And that's what Apple has done for the longest time. And Android's the same way. Like they'll like the OtterBox. Like the whole reason why the OtterBox is popular is because OtterBox seized on getting a good case out to the world. And that's the same thing with Tech 9 and all this other stuff. Apple does this too, where you have to get a dongle or whatever.
Oh my gosh, that's the whole thing.
But that's what it feels like like they were doing with that monitor. It's like, we don't have the time to worry about making a stand. Like, let the plebes sort it out, and they'll create something. Anyway, so that was a whole thing with I think with Linus and a couple other tech channels. They were just like cracking jokes about the stupid monitor situation. Okay, so the new monitor, the new display, what's the story on that?
So it's still pretty sure it is still an XDR.
What does even that mean? Like, is that high definition?
Oh, okay. So, hold on.
Holding on. This is late breaking news. We're just getting these stories across the wire, in case you're wondering.
Literally just reading them. Hold on.
But yeah, and I'll admit, like, Apple makes some good monitors. Like,
dude, have you been in person with one of their Pro XDR 5K displays?
I have not been in person.
Oh man, they're amazing. Especially in a dark room. Oh man, they just look amazing.
Yeah, that's the point of them. the measure of a good monitor is a monitor how it looks with lights over it. That's when you know you've got a good monitor. It's able to pull.
If you get the nano texture glass.
Oh, nano texture glass. Okay,
it's real fancy.
Anyway, it does sound
super
fancy.
Nice.
I'm sure it is.
Especially if you have like a light right behind you.
Probably costs you like a house and a half to buy, but okay.
Well, let's just see.
Apple and their prices.
Let's see.
I'm sure that's a bit of sarcasm, a bit of hyperbole, if you'll allow it.
I think it's under Mac.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
But they announced like some laptops and stuff too today as well, which is interesting. I think laptops are the Mac. I don't even know.
I think they were talking about the Air.
Yeah, the Air, Mac Air.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was really tired when I was watching the event.
There's a lot that they released there.
Yeah, so the nano texture glass adds $1,000 on top.
Okay, so I wasn't being hyperbolistic. I was being real. $1,000 to the cost of your monitor. Like, come on, Apple. What are you doing? All right, so you've got about 2.5 minutes to give us the straight story on the rest of what was happening this morning.
Lord, hold on.
What it means for the future of Apple, if Apple still has a fighting chance.
I think it's kind of interesting that they put the M1 in the iPad Air.
Okay.
Because they just put that in the iPad Pro last year.
Okay.
That's a really good chip. They're playing like some alright games on the demo.
Yeah.
But they were also using like Rush and exporting large files from there.
Okay.
So I thought something that was interesting. The new Mac Studio, it can run 18 8K ProRes streams all at the same time and still have bandwidth left. No other computer on Earth right now can do that.
Well, give Intel some time.
Give Intel some time.
Or actually NVIDIA. We'll give AMD some time.
Yeah.
They're coming up behind Apple. They're pulling a Assassin's Creed and gonna sneak up. And
sneaking up on them.
Sneak up on them.
Yeah. So what else came out with the new screen is that they released a new keyboard.
Oh.
They released a new mouse.
Fancy.
And a new trackpad.
Oh.
So remember how all the Apple products like that are white?
Yeah, they're very clean, sterile.
They're black now.
Wow.
Silver frame with.
Whoa.
They look good.
This is the thing about Apple that they do really well, and this is the only credit I will ever give them. Aesthetically, they work, and they know how to play the game.
They finally put a touch ID on the full size keyboard,
which has probably been happening for many others in other industries already with other.
And the trackpad is black too now.
Yeah.
Dude.
This is like
that has literally been. People have been asking for that for so long.
I think here's the thing. I think there's a lot of Apple fanboys, and I mean that in the most loving, kind, genuine way, because they are passionate about the product. And you may be part of this group, but I don't know. But like these kinds of things, they set them into a frenzy. Oh my gosh!
I think it's kind of cool.
Aesthetic. I get it. Aesthetics, cool.
Oh, and the new display has a whole bunch of speakers with Dolby Atmos support.
Of course they do.
Oh, dude, did you see the speakers? They literally run along the entire top and the entire bottom of the screen.
Leave it to Apple. Leave it to Apple.
Speakers.
All right, we've hit our 10-minute mark. If you're listening at home, you can go check this out on your own. Google the Apple event. But we've given you the long and the short, the good, the bad, and in my opinion, some of the ugly, but some of the aesthetically pleasing that they've done. This has been the computer roundup here on the Daily at Lincoln. My name is Aaron.
I'm Thomas.
And we will catch you on the next one. See you tomorrow, folks. Coming up next here on the Daily at Lincoln, we got some weather news for you coming into Colorado with some information for you to hear. So stick around, hold on, and we'll give you the latest details on what Denver's going to be facing, along with northeastern Colorado temps and precipitation coming up next. All right. Well, thanks for sticking around with us. You are in the second part of the Daily at Lincoln podcast. The weather over the next couple of days is going to get interesting. And by interesting, we mean, it could be a little challenging. So depending on where you live in this great state of Colorado, you might be facing some snowfall challenges. So there's some snow, some high, wide ranges of accumulations coming in the mountains and foothills, primarily Wednesday afternoon to Thursday afternoon. The information we have or we're getting from you is coming from a Facebook page called the Denver and Front Range Weather. It's a gentleman, his name is Cody, and he is pretty legit on the weather forecasting front, and he takes care of people in the community to let them know what's going on. They're talking some pretty significant snowfall in the mountains and then foothill areas, and then we will get some snow out here in northeastern Colorado. It all depends on how that's actually going to shake out. So the potential snowfall accumulation in Wyoming, Nebraska, is they're saying about 3 to 7 inches with possibly higher amounts around Laramie. Mountains, they're going to get awesome amounts of snow, 7 inches to 14 inches, which we desperately need in our mountain areas. Continental Divide and foothills, 5 to 10 inches with locally probably higher amounts, according to Cody. And Front Range, Eastern Plains, that's us out here in Fort Morgan. We might get 4 to 8 inches. It all depends on geography. It all depends on how it all interacts, but we'll see. Southern Colorado, 1 to 3 with locally up to 5 in some spots near I-25. So it's all going to be an interesting little journey. We'll see how it shakes out. The timing is always going to be questionable. So Wednesday into Thursday. So Wednesday night might not be a good time to travel. We've got winter storm watches that are being applied to certain parts of the state already. So check your apps, check your local stations, keep an eye on the weather, because Colorado in March and into April and May, the snow surprises. It does weird and wonderful things, and you got to just be ready. So make sure you drive carefully, pump those brakes, and don't go out if you have to when it comes to the weather. This has been the weather breaking news forecast, whatever you want to call it, from here at Daily at Lincoln. I always want to say live. We'll be back with one more thing or two here on the program, so stick with us, and thanks for listening so far. Well, it's about that time we come to the end of our broadcast of the Daily at Lincoln, and it's important that we note that a lot of this we're trying is new. This is not a established daily podcast. We're kind of just every day throwing stuff together and seeing if it works. It's kind of like the old kind of statement of, you throw something against the wall to see if it sticks. It's kind of like taking the spaghetti and throwing in some things and throw it against the wall and see if it stays there. If it stays there, awesome. If it falls to the ground, well, we got to pick it back up and get back in the kitchen and rework it again. So we appreciate you listening, but if you got some ideas, if you have something you think we need to talk about or we need to cover, be it locally or statewide or even nationwide or international, and you're like, I want to know what these guys think, well, you're always welcome to holler and hit us up. A Gmail address will be provided here momentarily. You can also check out our website. createatmorgan.org is where we host all of our podcasts, and all of our student and community members podcasts as well, so you're welcome to check that out. We appreciate you listening. Thanks for subscribing to us, and we will continue to bring you different and interesting and who knows what kind of content as we go forward. This has been The Daily at Lincoln. My name is Aaron, and we will see you on the next one. You've been listening to The Daily at Lincoln, our daily podcast where we sometimes cover the news, entertainment, games, music, and more from our studio here in Fort Morgan, Colorado, at Lincoln High School in Morgan County. Have something you think we need to cover? Email us at adelayedteacher@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.